So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Charlie Kirk Bible Read and Bob Rant. The reason I'm laughing, sorry, I'll get my ugly mug up here, is my dog was sleeping beautifully and peacefully at my feet. As soon as I started talking, it just went like a hand grenade. It exploded in his head. So he bounced up and he's now shaking. Where are you? There he is. Come here. He's going back under my feet now. Oh, goodness. Coming to you from my downstairs office today, 42 degrees in Melbourne. My aircon's not coping upstairs. It's still bloody hot up there. So, much cooler downstairs. So we're coming from here. So no views of the bay today. I'm sorry. It is magnificent. I do have the cricket to my right. So sorry if I look over every now and again, checking the score. It's getting quite interesting. We might make the fifth day. The Pums are about 40 runs in front, but 5 wickets down. So young kid Bethel has played beautifully. Got to give him credit. So, we'll get back to the cricket in a minute. But as we always do, time for our little Bible read. One verse for each day, or one extract for each day. So today is January 7th. Teaching from Jesus, Matthew 7:13 through 20. Jesus teaches that only a few people go through the narrow gate, and he warns his hearers to be on their guard against false prophets. I think we've got a few of those. Go in through the narrow gate, because the gate to hell is wide and the road that leads to it is easy, and there are many who travel it. But the gate to life is narrow, and the way that leads to it is hard, and there are few people who find it. Be on your guard against false prophets. They come to you looking like sheep on the outside, but on the inside they are really like wild wolves. You will know them by what they do. Thorn bushes do not bear grapes, and briars do not bear figs. A healthy tree bears good fruit, but a poor tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a poor tree cannot bear good fruit. And any tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown in the fire. So then you will know the false prophets by what they do. Very good advice, all round. And we do have a bunch of false prophets. Look, good news, as you get older, I think you get pretty good at identifying them. As you get younger, you're not so sure, and you get a bit cocky, and you think you're full of life. Life experience helps you. If you're younger, don't take everything as a fait accompli on everything you hear. One thing I've learned from my life, and I've got sucked in, and I'm sure everyone out there my age would be similar, and this is the same thing, for example, with conspiracy theories. It's why you'll hear me speak out against people I once followed quite closely. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, those sort of types. I used to be big followers and supporters, but then they just said and did things that made me say, hold on, you're not my type. Another one's Megyn Kelly. She's going down that road as well. And I think, listen, politics is a very good indicator in a lot of this. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that today. And if people lean left to where it tears down the individual capacity and ambitions, and they're basically destroying a person's soul. And you're seeing a lot of that, for example, in New York, and also with all this Venezuela stuff. You've actually got now the left across the world who campaigned against kings now protesting in favor of a dictator. So when they say kings, they don't want dictators. And this is all anti-Trump. They had the anti-kings protest because they accused Trump of being a dictator. But now Trump has actually taken out a dictator. They're actually campaigning against Trump again. It's bizarre. So, like it just said in there, you can judge false prophets by the way they act. And politics is a really good space to be able to judge that and just make sure you're consistent. So Tucker Carlson, for example, he's done a totally 180 on several different positions. He's not clear on his positions. That is a red flag when you're looking at someone. I'm hopefully, and it's all right to be wrong, by the way. You can do 180s, but you've got to acknowledge it. And you can't do 180s across several things, unless you're about to say, listen, I was entirely wrong on my whole thing, and I'm changing from being, for example, a Marxist to a capitalist. Okay, then you got half a dozen, but Tuck hasn't done that. Candace is just nuts. And seriously, the woman needs some help. So What her husband's doing, I don't know. I would be trying to get, first thing I'd be doing is getting her off social media. Second thing I'd be doing is trying to get her some help, and he's got the money to do it. But getting off track. But it does segue into it. So one thing that's been really interesting, I want to show you a couple of things here on my Twitter. Where is it? I don't know. Can't turn thing. I think it might be notifications, or it might be there. Let's have a look. No, it's not there. That's just mine. Oh, that's all right. Now I know what I'm doing. Stop sharing. Sorry, guys. Which one is it? I just want to share. It's just so typical of the way the world is, not just Australia, the way the world is. I put up this tweet the other day, and this is only from yesterday, and it was about Khawaja. And Khawaja annoys me. If you followed me since he announced his retirement, he just annoys me, not because he's from Pakistan, not because he's got brown skin, not because he's a Muslim, because his attitude just sucks. And as a sports coach for 40 years, I would hate having his attitude in any of my teams, whether they're juniors or seniors or whatever it is. So I've coached, every age group at most levels, domestic right through to elite level, all that sort of thing. And we just would never accept this attitude with his attitude within a team. The fact the Australian cricket team says a lot about it. But all I put up is what I saw as a sports coach. So Khawaja I'll read it out. Khawaja gets trapped absolutely plumb in front for 17. Absolutely plumb. I used to play the game for 20 years. I was a batsman, and I opened the bowling an awful lot. So I know what an appeal's all about. He was as plumb as you can get. You couldn't get plumber. And as a batsman, you know when you've nicked it or not. So he didn't go anywhere nicking it. It's hit him just about on the ankle, not high, on the ankle. It was going to take out middle and leg. But usually when you do a review in cricket, if anyone's watched cricket, you actually talk to the batsman at the other end and get their opinion. And the batsman at the other end just happened to be one of the greatest batsmen we've ever produced in Steve Smith. He didn't even do it. And the excuses going around, it was because of his last game. Rubbish. You go up there and you say, do you think it was out? And if he thinks it was out, you walk. Because the next batsman in might need that review. So anyway, knowing he hadn't hit the ball and denying the remaining batsman a review of any close decision. So, and this is, to me, been an example of Khawaja's entire career. Absolutely, he's a very good batsman. I don't think he's anywhere near the great batsman that media try and paint him out to. He was a very, very good batsman. I don't think he's one of the greatest of our era, the greatest of our time. He was in and out of the team. He got dropped a few times, proved a few people wrong. And when he was on, he was a very good batsman to watch. So there's definitely positives in what he did. I don't think his fielding brought much to the table. He dropped a lot of catches in the slips quarter. He also caught a lot. But he's not the one who's going to give you this Steve Smith or Marnus Labuschagne catches behind. So I think he is a good, honest cricketer. But in that time, he selfishly made it about himself and not his teammates. And this was just another example of that. When he gets dropped, it's always because of racism. When he doesn't get successful, it's always about racism. He tries to push the cause of the Gazan people, but every other cause in the world he doesn't push. Now, if you're going to get on your pedestal about these things, do it across the board, not just in one particular area. That's just my opinion. All right, so nothing I've said so far is anything to do with him being brown, him being Muslim, him being Pakistan. It's all about attitude. As usual, so the real critic I cracked so to go was the commentary team. As usual, the cowardly commentary team didn't criticize him for it. When it had it been someone else, they would have been relentless in their criticism. What an appropriate end to his career, which I think it was. It summed up his career beautifully. And the commentary teams, they're too cowardly because it's his last game and why go there and blah, blah, blah. All you had to do is say, geez, that was a poor review. But they're not going to do it because of the shit he talked about in his retirement thing and being in his game, and they're all thinking, oh, he's only got one game to go. What's the point? But every Joe Public guy out there was pissed off. Now, I just put that tweet. I never expected the response I got. And overwhelmingly a supportive response. I've got a few dickheads on there saying what it is. Have a look at this. 302,000 views. Now, they're from all around. The majority, I would say, would be Aussie. But they're from, I think I can get in and have a look at this. They're 302,000 views from the Middle East, from England, Australia, and I've had 6,600 likes, 544 read posts or quotes, and 233 comments, 231 comments, sorry. So just checking the score. Still 5 down. So that's the most action I've had on a tweet in my entire 15 years of being on X. So it shows a lot of people agree with what I'm saying. So let's have a look at the analytics of this. I'm pretty sure it breaks you down. I could be wrong here, or maybe it doesn't. Look at that. 304 impressions, 13,000 engagements. Detail expands. So that's where they get the whole tweet up if they need to. I've had 800 things. My following has exploded. You know, I've gone from 9,000 to 11,000. A lot of it on the back of this tweet and the tweet I made after his retirement. So I'm not doing that to push my things. Let's have a look. I just wanted to see. Yeah, no, it doesn't. What's this saying? No, it doesn't either. All right. So I thought there was a place that showed you on the analytics where the comments came from and the likes, but it doesn't. So I do know from going through it, I'm getting a bunch from the Middle East. And you know the ones that are most critical of Usman Khawaja? The ones that are most critical of Usman Khawaja are his fellow compatriots, because he claims to be a good, a good Paki boy from Pakistan and India. They just rip into him and say he should be more grateful. And little wonder, because if you live in Pakistan and they don't have the same talent identification in countries like India and Pakistan, you could have a really high talent. In Australia, it will get identified. In other countries, it won't. And especially in Middle Eastern countries. So in Australia, if you get recognised, you get into club cricket, people see you, they push you onto state trials, you do well in state trials, you get picked for state and representative teams, and from there, your chance to get picked in an Aussie team really explode. And not only do that, you get put into things like academies. This is why Australia punch above its weight with only 27 million people, where a country like India with nearly 2 billion, they beat us from time to time, but overall they should be beating us all the time. They don't have the same opportunities or talent things. So there's a lot of people in India and Pakistan that are getting stuck in Usman Khawaja and saying, be more appreciative. But I think this is a common theme, not just in cricket. It's the same with that silly Maureen. It seems to be a Paki problem. Faruqi, who sits in our parliament. She owns about 6 houses and she bitches and whines. She sits in our federal parliament. She gets paid an absolute fortune. She's got a life here that you can only dream of in Pakistan. She can speak her mind with, if she did that in Pakistan, ask Imran Khan, you're getting locked up in jail, but no appreciation of Australia and just wants to tear it down. She goes to every single rally, anarchist rally, and preaches how racist and bad Australia is. I've just had another one with a guy who claims, and listen, I take him at his word, but let's get into the notifications. Where is he? Oh, this guy. So here, we've had a bit of back and forth. So I'll put my mind up. I think you have beautifully made this point from the press conference. SW Spurs, sorry, mate. He's implying there that I'm a racist. And like I said, I'm a racist because I disagree with the decision or review? That's all I did. No, but there's been literally hundreds of selfish LBW reviews. Well, I'm talking about this specific one because it only happened yesterday. He wants me to send copies of tweets. Sounds like Candace Owens. Every time Shane Watson or Zach Crawley, why the hell am I'll make this point in a minute, Zach Crawley or anyone else is selfishly reviewed. Well, that Shane Watson was a decade ago. I mean, why am I going to bother about a POM reviewing? He's a POM. I put that in my post. P.S. Why would I even worry about what Crawley does? He's a POM in the English team. Let him do his selfish review. And he goes, so? And I checked his profile because I just couldn't figure out why he was so into this. So I just checked up and I found out he's living in London. He's a POM. So I just asked a question, why are you even jumping on this issue while not understanding it? Clearly he doesn't understand why me and just by this tweet, hundreds of thousands others have an interest in it. Maybe start getting your country's house in order and leave us Aussies to sort out our own. I don't comment on POM batsmen at all, or English sportsmen or whatever. They can look after their own. But this guy from London from afar. So he claimed his parents are Victorian. Good, I'll take him that. I'm done on the subject. What of reviews? No, so he goes further. But you have confirmed an intolerance I find sad. So he won't come out and say, Bob, you're a racist. He's calling me intolerant. This is so typical. I can tell you now he's a leftist because I question the review. As any sensible sports coach or person who's been involved in sport, a country, so he goes down the racist road. A country built on immigrants, and the reason Australia is great. Loads here like you, don't worry about that. What utter bullshit. So he hasn't bothered going back through my feed where I've actually stuck up for immigrants against the Nazis and the NSN. What I have always been against is those people who try and tear down our country. And Usman fits into that beautifully. Hopefully this guy, SW Spurs, gets to look at it a bit. See this video a bit. Intolerance because, and my response, intolerance because I call out a shit review in a cricket match. Get over yourself. And he's going, you know exactly what I'm talking about. No, well, I do, but I reject it. You've gone down a rabbit hole. What rabbit hole? I questioned an LBW review, dickhead. I've made my point. No, you haven't, dickhead. Asked you to point out other reviews. This is like Candace Owens. Why am I going to troll back and spend 2 hours of my life trying to find reviews? I probably don't think about it, as I explained to him earlier. Usman Khawaja brought this up himself, upon himself, because of his retirement presser and the way he bagged Australia in the system that was so bloody good to me. None of them ever dispute that. None of the leftists or the woke ever dispute that. You've made a point about stay in your lane, Aussie. Stay in your lane, Aussie. Well, I'm in my lane, dickhead. You're in London. I'm in Victoria. I'm in Melbourne. I love my cricket. I'm making a comment as a sports coach on what I thought was a selfish act. I'm well and truly in my lane, dickhead. All right. Anyway, like I said, bullshit. You made no points. This is their problem. They just like to assume the worst, and I've called him out. Like I said, he needs to get over himself. And that is a typical leftist. There are people on this thread that have been definitely racist. But it's undisputable. You can read through their threads and the crap. I didn't say anything racist, but he's trying to imply I'm racist. And here we go. He's back on. Have I got it? Oh, did I? I hope I... Oh, don't tell me I didn't share that. That'll be annoying. That'll be very annoying. What am I sharing? Why am I sharing myself? Hold on, guys. Stop sharing. Oh, that was a bit silly. Anyway, hopefully you got the gist of it. But he's back in my feed again. This guy. No, mate, you've absolutely made Khawaja's point. What? That he's selfish? You can't even see it, which reinforces it more. All right, so I'm going to reply to him. All right? So, sorry, I'm still in here, guys. Please be specific on what I'm reinforcing. All right? So, sorry, guys. I've got to reply to this. Come on. Get out from behind your keyboard and say what you're claiming. I'm going to say exactly what you're claiming and then bring the receipts. Let's see if he does that. He won't because there are no receipts. He'll make them up, though. And this, again, is typical of your bloody left. And I'm going to go into some other points here in a minute. It's typical of your other bloody left that always want to paint everything we say and do. If you're a white Aussie male, you're automatically a racist. And they're going to take everything you say and try and paint you as a racist. That is the problem in this country. You know, there's going to be certain hate speech laws that come into this country where you can't say anything. I'm about to give you a demonstration of this in a minute. So let's go there now. And we're going to, where is it? This one. Hate speech laws. Now, we've got a number of people, Nazis, granted, I'm not a big fan of the Nazis, but they've got a right to free speech like all of us. But we've got Joel Wilson, for example, and he said some abhorrent things. Now, in a country that embraces free speech, are you allowed to say abhorrent, ugly, really bad things? If you believe in free speech, the point is yes. And then I'm allowed to come back and call you an idiot, a dickhead, a racist, whatever. That's free speech. When you have a government that's trying to control your speech, that is fascism. A lot of people talk about fascism without understanding it. But worse, in Western countries that have leftist, I would say Marxist governments, like my pal there, they like to twist your words and get you in trouble, and then they'll justify that under hate speech laws to get you arrested and go to jail. But here is, just read this out, Kathy Wilcox is the cartoonist who produced this repugnant anti-Semitic cartoon, which suggests the coalition is marching to the beat of Israel's drum. The slaughter of 15 innocent Australians at Bondi has been cynically hijacked by Kathy Wilcox of the Sydney Morning Herald, The Age and Nine, shock horror, to push an Israel-bashing agenda. Turning mass murder into ideological propaganda is grotesque. The moral bankruptcy on display staggering. So that's your typical white liberal women. Okay, they want to talk about all us white men being racist. I don't think there's anything worse than a white leftist woman. I say liberal woman because that's the American term. They have their issues over in America with them. Hillary Clinton, for example. But she's done this cartoon, obviously gave it no choice. And where are the editors of these publications? Is this not, if the Nazis are going to go to jail for hate speech, is this not hate speech? Why is this not illegal? Now, the Sydney Morning Herald is based in New South Wales. Chris Min has passed some of the most rigid hate speech laws you can imagine. You watch, I will guarantee you, no action is taken. None. So if you dare speak out against the acceptable narrative from our politicians, you're going to be guilty of hate speech laws. If you speak out in a narrative that the politicians can accept, nothing will happen. So it all comes back to who is defining what is and what isn't hate speech. This is a clear example of hate speech. Now, if you want to say what Joel Wilson said was hate speech, then you've got to address this. What are the odds of the New South Wales government addressing it? I won't hold my breath. I really won't. So anyway, next, and where am I? Notifications. I've got a few that I want to. So I'm really annoyed at this. Other part, don't fall in for our protesters. All these protesters who for 2 years this applies to, they've all gone from the Gaza protest to the Venezuela protest. I just thought this meme was really good to share. The sad part about that, that's exactly what's happening. As much as that's funny, that's exactly what's happening. If you watch any of the protests, they're all wearing the kafafas, they've all got the new flags, they've all got the new signs, and they've all switched automatically from, Gaza, Palestine to Venezuela. It's ridiculous. Who's paying them? They're obviously getting paid. Communism, socialism. I'm going to give you two more, so bear with me. So we've got our leftists that lecture us about our narrative. This is the new communist mayor of New York. He is a dangerous man. He's using South Africa as the model for New York. South Africa is on the verge of being a failed state. Look at this. So this is what he wants from South Africa for New York. 32% unemployment, 45% youth employment, 8% of population pays 90% of income tax. Top 0.1%, 3,500 people own 15% of the wealth. Bottom 50% has negative net worth. 330 days of blackouts per year. Taxi mafia burns trains to eliminate competition. The taxi mobs burn the trains. Highest rape rate in the world. Yeah, well done, you leftist women. That's what you want. 1 in 4 men admit to rape. 1 in 3 women will be raped in their lifetime. 67,000 plus Child rapes reported each year. Women killed by intimate partners at 5 times the global average. Fourth highest murder rate on Earth. Half water systems contaminated with sewage. Half of water lost to leaks. Global average 15%. And of course, white genocide. And yet, this is what this guy is using as a model for New York. New York, what have you done? This guy's only been in power for 2 days. My goodness me. So the problem we've got in our country, like the woke idiot that just had to go at me about Kawaja, trying to paint us all as bigots and racist, is just listen to this clip. They've got a Venezuela survivor. This is really worth listening. I'm sorry, it goes for 4 minutes, so I hope you bear with it. But just listen to this clip of people, who, especially young ones, who back socialism and communism. Listen up. That's crazy. Crazy. She's not happy. Exactly. Really good clip. If you've got young kids, I'm going to say that. I'm even going to repost it so you can get it off my feed. You should be sharing this with your kids. We've got to start talking about what socialism means for the country if it ever gets a grip. And in Australia, it is getting a grip in a big way. We are heading to where New York is now. We're not that far away from it. They've got Mandami as their mayor. What I fear is we get a Mandami type. As he's a communist. He's not a socialist. When you listen to him, he's talking about collectivism. So taking people's property and use it for the collective good of everyone. So what that guy just said, using other people's money. If you want to work hard and own things and get your way forward, this does not help that. And when you break it down and talk a thing, you saw everyone except that girl with the fuzzy black hair, just dumb as. Even the professor was getting turned around by that young guy. And here's where I think the Liberal Party, the Labor don't want that Venezuelan survivor, the Labor Party don't want him in their ranks because it goes against their narrative. If the Liberals started getting, and this is where immigration could work in Australia's favour, you're not going to get any of them from the Middle East, but there's plenty of people that in Australia that have immigrated here from countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, China, all across the place, a lot of them from the former Eastern Bloc countries who suffered for decades under communism and socialism. Get them into your party ranks. Get them coming in. They know how to argue against the socialist communist tactics of the left. They would tear people like Albo and that to shreds. You've got to get people who can communicate and understand the arguments. But there's plenty of them out there. And then they could bring in big demographics from certain electorates. Now, right now, ALP is pandering to the Islamic demographics in a lot of their seats. The Liberals have got to get out of there. Any cities, teal seats, where you've just got wealthy, rich dickheads who think, oh, well, we're too rich and we've got to be guilty and all this sort of woke bullshit, and get into working class suburbs where people want to get ahead. And there is plenty of those people in the outer suburbs. They're just too gutless or something to get out there. And the example of that is the Nationals. The Nationals, everyone pans the Nationals, and in lots of instances, quite rightly. But they know their electorates, the country electorates. And these aren't overwhelmingly wealthy people, but in the country, they're much more attuned to making a living off the land, making a living for yourself. They're totally opposed to socialism. And the national MPs understand their electorates, and they fight for them. The Liberals could do that in outer city suburb seats if they decided to put the time into it. If they decide even to get into universities and start arguing like Charlie Kirk did, they can turn the tide. But if they won't do it, then people like you and I have to do it. And we have to start with it one argument at a time. And to get that argument off, there's two young people there that made another half a dozen people rethink about their attitude towards socialism and realise how bad it could be. So just from that today, I'm just mounting an argument out there and hopefully giving you guys a few things. And I've got a few comments. I've got no doubt the idiot who I've been back and forth with about the Usman Khawaja cricket will go on. So just from that tweet, let's see what we're up to. Not that one. I'll see if I can share it. I was over 300,000. It just keeps going. I'm now up to nearly 305,000. So it's nuts. So that means to me, that's showing that's the most responsive crowd. There's a lot of people that feel like you and me out there. They don't get on the polls. They don't say these things because they're worried now about a couple of things. It used to be about being, pigeonholed as a racist. But now you've got real issues with the hate speech laws, whether it could cost you a job, cost you freedom, you being censored. If we get digital ID, it might cost you accounts. There's actually real repercussions if you say something that is not politically correct. How is that a free society? It is not. Anyway, a much more detailed rant. Had to get a few things off my chest. And sorry, you got caught in the middle of me bouncing back and forth with that other guy. So from me, if you're in Melbourne, try and stay cool. I've got my tower fans going, got my aircon upstairs. My energy bill's going to go through the roof for today. So hopefully we get the cool change through later this evening. I've got my dog at my face. I don't think JJ's interested in saying goodbye. Yeah, he's suffering a bit. He's suffering a lot, the poor fella. So God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless that flag. Never let it become a socialist country. Let's start pushing back and get our freedoms back. God bless everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.